The United States has officially launched a naval blockade against Iran. This is not a warning. This is not a sanction. This is a direct military action that is already reshaping global trade, oil markets, and geopolitical stability. And the consequences are unfolding right now. On April 13, 2026, the United States began enforcing a large-scale naval blockade targeting Iranian ports. The operation was launched after peace negotiations between the two sides collapsed. Under this blockade, any ship attempting to enter or leave Iranian ports can be intercepted, diverted, or turned back. Within the first 24 hours, multiple vessels were stopped. No ship successfully passed through the blockade. This marks one of the most aggressive military measures taken in the conflict so far. This blockade is not a full shutdown of global shipping lanes. Instead, it is highly targeted. The United States is focusing specifically on vessels connected to Iranian ports. Ships not linked to Iran are still allowed to move through nearby waters, but any vessel attempting to trade with Iran is now at risk of interception. Over 10,000 U.S. personnel, multiple warships, and surveillance aircraft are involved in enforcing this operation. This creates a controlled choke point around Iran's economy. At the center of this crisis is the Strait of Hormuz. This narrow waterway is one of the most important energy routes in the world. Roughly 20% of global oil supply passes through this region. That means any disruption here has immediate global consequences. Even before the blockade, traffic in this area had already been restricted. Now, with U.S. forces actively controlling access to Iranian trade routes, the pressure has intensified dramatically. The effects were almost immediate. Oil prices surged as markets reacted to the sudden restriction in supply. Analysts estimate that millions of barrels of Iranian oil per day could be cut off from global markets. Shipping costs have increased. Insurance rates for vessels in the region have spiked, and global markets are showing signs of instability. Countries that rely heavily on imported fuel are already feeling the pressure. This includes developing economies where rising fuel costs quickly translate into higher prices for food, transport, and basic goods. The situation remains highly volatile. Iran has warned that any military presence near its waters could be seen as a violation of the fragile ceasefire. At the same time, the United States has made it clear that the blockade will continue. This creates a dangerous scenario. If Iran attempts to break the blockade, it could trigger direct confrontation. Military analysts warn that blockades are historically one of the fastest ways to escalate a conflict because they leave very little room for compromise. The blockade is not just about military pressure, it is about economic control. Iran's economy depends heavily on oil exports. By cutting off maritime trade, the United States is targeting one of Iran's most critical revenue sources. This adds pressure not just on the government, but on the entire economic system. And it is already influencing ongoing negotiations behind the scenes. This moment marks a major turning point in the conflict, a shift from tension to direct control, from threats to enforcement. The blockade is already reshaping global markets and raising the stakes across the region. And the question now is simple. Does this lead to resolution, or does it push the world closer to a much larger conflict? If you want real-time breakdowns of global events like this, subscribe now, because what happens next will affect everyone.